Hi everyone, my name is Daniel Menges. I'm a managing partner of eTexture at Ogilvy.
And I'm Jan Haderka. I work at Magnolia, doing many different things for many years. So,
Yeah.
hey. Yeah.
So today we speak a bit about the business of eTexture and eTexture at Ogilvy, and including the integration into the cloud. So I'm gonna start first to speak a bit about our company and what we do, and then smoothly hand over to my colleague to the right. So, did I click it? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So eTexture is a technology business founded in 2002, which is a spin-off of Ogilvy in Mather, Germany. We are a web technology and services provider. In 2012, I went to the UK and we founded a joint venture with Ogilvy in Mather, UK, which is now called eTexture at Ogilvy. So the full power of one of the largest advertising agencies in the world, combined with our technology know-how. Just a quick introduction of what we do and who we are. So we have a kind of different players within our team. We consist of about 100 specialists, software developers, engineers, information architects, project managers, and so on. And we tend to work in small, collaborative, and agile teams to deliver projects. We have 5 offices across Germany and the UK. I realized today that this slide might not work for everyone. I had a presentation in Germany about a month ago that worked a bit easier. So our biggest office and oldest office is in Frankfurt. Then we have an office in Karlsruhe, Munich, and Düsseldorf, and since 2012 we are also in London. I don't know if people can guess what stands for what. Our capabilities, just to give you a very high level rough overview, what are kind of are the five key main areas, which is probably quite obvious. So software architecture, technical consulting, IA, technical delivery, followed by application support. We do work with our clients where we sometimes just cover a certain area. Could be just a technical consulting piece, which then might be followed by a project where we have to actually build things. Another division would be the 3 main offerings: plan, build, and run, which we quite clearly try to identify and separate within a project lifecycle. So plan lands within the technical consulting. That's where we discuss processes. That's where we discuss the potential technology, scoping, and so on. Build is what it says in the tin. We actually build something, and run is the post-launch and maintenance support and operations. I think it's quite interesting to point out that we try to work with different tools and different processes depending on in what section we are. Not that they're completely different, but for us, for example, there's a pretty clear division between how we run a project when it's during the build and when a project is in a maintenance phase. So as a technology business, we obviously rely very much on partners. That's one of the reasons we got invited today. One of the big partners that I'm going to mention first before we talk about Magnolia is AWS. So we are a managed services provider, and we've for quite a while now worked with what the marketing world loves, with the cloud. And we've kind of identified that within the digital marketing space that we work, the very creative space, the very campaign-driven space, that the cloud, or the Amazon cloud, including all its tools and processes, is perfect for our business. So, and that's actually the title of today: the cloud, more than just a vapor for digital marketing. Before I go on to the cloud specifically, I kind of want to set the scene a little and describe our daily business. Same as Boris earlier this morning, I'm kind of using food as an analogy, how our business works. So I kind of see us as a very, very busy kitchen, very high pressure. We have short deadlines, Every project, especially together with Ogilvy, is very creative. We have changing requirements throughout the entire project lifecycle, and there's high demands throughout the entire project. Once a project is done, it's followed by a new project right away. So just like in a kitchen, when you deliver a pizza, there's probably a dish that you have to start preparing right away. A good example of that is one of the clients that we work for. It's a client that belongs to our partner Ogilvy One in the UK. They run the digital account for a nice British brand called Land Rover. And just to give you an idea of the things we do, and because we're in the cinema today, I thought it's time for a film. So let's enjoy. Sound. I'm just going to start that again.
The all-new Range Rover Sport was revealed to the world at an exclusive event in New York City on March 26, 2013. We created a digital experience as dynamic and urgent as the vehicle itself. We used social media to create buzz for an exclusive online reveal without giving too much away. To see more, audiences had to register their interest. We created a microsite to stream the event live to a global audience. We used dynamic films and enticing photography to allow viewers to explore the vehicle the instant it was unveiled, giving them an experience like no other, more engaging than front row seats at the live event.
Can we play it again?
As you can see, marketing people are very good at creating films and a story. So we've started working on Land Rover in January 2013. It's an account run by Ogilvy One, and as the person said in the video, we had to build a microsite. And that obviously doesn't sound very enterprise, it doesn't sound very heavy, technical, complex, but it's a very good example of what we are confronted with on a daily business. We've now since then launched 6 so-called microsites for Land Rover, all in about 20 to 23 markets each. We have continuous deployments, continuous development, continuous content updates within the pages, we are still building new things to the sites on a weekly basis. That is a very good example of a project where the creativity for the new Range Rover Sport and how it's presented is one of the key factors. The marketing people, and we have to be quite aware of that, don't really care about the technology. It needs to look the same way as they come up with the idea. So although we were knowing that it was a very hard deadline because the car was launched in New York, I believe it was March 22nd, 2013. We had a very hard deadline, and the creatives and the Land Rover marketing team were very agile with their ideas, even a few weeks before. So that kind of shows that even if it's just a microsite in that sense, we had to build a technology or work in a certain way that we could adapt to those kind of changes. With that example, I wanted to give you an overview of the multiple unknowns that we are facing throughout the daily business that we have, especially focused on the more, let's call it, advanced digital marketing side. Whenever we build technology for a campaign, there are certain unknowns. One of them is traffic. Obviously, the marketing people hope it's going to be a success, but we don't know. The peaks we don't know. We don't know. Often we don't know when. Like for example, through social media, we don't know when certain peaks are going to happen. We don't know when we build the first version how many updates or deployments we have to do to a certain software. If the campaign is successful, there's a very high likelihood of people of the marketing department coming up with further ideas, meaning more updates. Internationalization is one that we sometimes start in 2 countries, but again, if it's successful, we might have to launch it in 20 further countries. Another one is the project lifetime. Sometimes the initial idea is that a campaign is live for about 4 weeks. Again, if something happens in social media or the marketing team come up with new ideas, that could instantly double or triple the lifetime within a project. And similar to the updates, kind of new features. What can we, or how can we prepare that complex new features might be integrated within the software? One example was after the launch of the new Range Rover Sport. I don't know if anyone knows these guys. Top Gear is one of the most successful car shows, not even in the UK. I think it's known worldwide. They did a special on their show that we didn't know about, which they obviously posted links and URLs. As all of us sit in front of the TV with an iPad or with an iPhone, there was a tremendous peak during that time, and we didn't even know about it. So that is the perfect example that we need to be prepared for those kind of things, but within certain financial budgets, without creating an environment that is very expensive just because something could happen at some point. Within that, the expectations are quite clear. So our partner Ogilvy and their clients expect from us or create bespoke solutions, especially in the creative space and with user experience. It needs to be bespoke, it needs to be something special, it needs to be something no one has seen before. It needs to be flexible. All these unknowns that I mentioned earlier are kind of scream for flexibility. It needs scalable. It needs to be scalable. So any, if it's peaks, if it's traffic, if it's language updates and so on, and it needs to be robust. So if we think about that, those people watching Top Gear going on that website at that moment, if we lose those people because the page is too slow, because there's so many people hitting that site, they will probably never come back again. And there might even be a quite likelihood of them in the same moment posting on the Top Gear website, the site you just posted is slow. So all these things have big effects for marketing people. Marketing people are very aware of the power of social media and people. So the first thing we need to cover all those kind of expectations and to handle the unknowns is kind of a backbone. And that brings me back to the cloud. So a scalable, flexible, and reliable infrastructure which keeps administration to an absolute minimum. The administration to an absolute minimum is a key factor that I mentioned earlier about the one project after the other. So if we launch a project, we need to have the ability that our team focuses on the next project or updates on that project and not worry about constant administrating an existing infrastructure. So that is very important for us, and which we found with AWS is a big help for that. So what do? We kind of decided that no matter what size of a project or what size a project initially has, we will start it with the same way. So just as a cook will not go into a smaller kitchen only because he's doing a sandwich and using a bigger kitchen because they're doing, I don't know, a 4-course meal. We start projects always the same way, using targeting AWS and configurations. Doesn't matter if a project is live for a week, 2 weeks, or we know that it's going to be live for 4 or 3 months. There are so many unknowns within the digital marketing space that we have to prepare for that. One of the key ingredients, again, I'm using kitchen talk, are those 5. There are many more, but these are the 5 that kind of stand out. Elastic Beanstalk for auto scaling, load balancing, and so on. CloudFront as a CDN, so doesn't matter where the people are in the world. We need content served. RDS, S3, AWS API, and so on. I'm not a software engineer myself, so any questions about those, we have colleagues up there. the question then is how do those ingredients solve actually our problems? I'm just going to give you two or three examples. Traffic. We have auto scaling. We have CloudFront that can handle all that. Peaks a very similar thing. Project lifetime is a very interesting one. With AWS, we have a pricing model that is very flexible to the project lifetime. So we don't have to kind of pay for infrastructure for a year without even knowing if it's going to be live for 10 months or 3 months. Also, if a project is done, we can just switch it off. So this flexibility within the costing model, which might not fit to a without saying the wrong thing, but it might not fit to a .com website that has often quite predictable traffic and the number of deployments and so on. In our world, this flexibility in project lifetime and pricing is very important. Just to give you one more example of the kind of world that we face on a daily basis with the quick, very creative, very high demand was an example from the Olympics in 2012. So again, British Airways is an account, creative technology account led by Ogilvy One UK, and British Airways was one of the main sponsors of the Olympics, and they came up with an idea how to make social content visual and actually and to hear it. So this is an example about the Olympics.
This summer, the greatest sports event on earth came to London. And with it came a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for Britain's best sportsmen and women to compete on home turf. The message was simple. Don't fly, support Team GB. Be part of the home advantage. The 2012 Games were billed as a social Olympics, and the volume of social commentary generated proved this was true. But one thing unites all of this social noise. It's silent. The chatter is just text, even tweeting doesn't make a sound. If you weren't sitting in the stadium, there was no sound of the home advantage. Our task was to give it one. We created a social symphony. We aggregated all the tweets, updates, comments and posts related to the home advantage and used them to generate a live, constantly updating sound wave. Each particle represents a message. The more social noise, the bigger the sound wave became. We commissioned a score to bring the sound wave to life. The score is multi-layered, different instruments and melodies rising and falling as the volume of social comment increases and decreases. The more the social world talked, the louder, more complex, more stirring the music became. Tweets sang, Facebook updates cheered. And when Jess Ennis won gold, the choir joined in singing her name. Over 50,000 people visited the Social Symphony during the Games. More than 65,000 sounds were generated and interacted with. 700,000 tweets and posts were collated and tagged, including some from athletes themselves. Hashtag Home Advantage exceeded all other Olympic tags on 5 separate occasions, helping to inspire a medal haul like never before.
Very emotional. That was about two years ago. This is kind of a perfect example of our daily work. We have a very creative front end, very interactive, and we then have a back end connecting to X amount of systems to get content, to connect to further systems to transmit further data to the BA systems and so on. The next point is, however, I showed you the Land Rover case and I showed you the BA case, both very different. When we build those, we always face kind of a triple decision path, how we build those kind of software, and that's so the first one is a bespoke solution. So the British Airways example is probably one of the best examples of having having a case where we have to build a bespoke software. So the front end is bespoke anyway, but having a back end that delivers that kind of data that works with the music and so on is a very bespoke case. Then the second one, which I just called multi-ownership solution. It's an expression that I'm aware is totally made up by myself, but what I mean with that is, for example, CMS solutions that are not owned by a certain provider. So open source solutions like, let's say, Drupal and so on, that are very a lot used within the campaign space, but are not actually owned by a company. They're mostly owned by a community and so on. And then thirdly is a single ownership solution. One would be Magnolia, for example, which can also be open source, but it's owned by a company. It can be supported by a company. It's quality controlled by a company, and so on. So we were kind of looking for an enterprise product which is flexible and scalable enough to cope with the creative marketing environment. So the Land Rover sites, for example, we had a very, very creative front end, but it is currently a bespoke solution. But the challenges we had is that all the things that come out of the box with a enterprise solution, it could be roles and rights, it could be content workflows, it could be deployments, and so on. We often build bespoke. We will always have a bespoke part of an application running within a system, like, for example, the BA case. And since we develop a lot within the Spring framework, we had when we found Magnolia and started working with it, probably I think middle of last year, we found a very good synergy of, on one hand, being flexible, and on the other hand, having many items that we actually always build bespoke to have those in a box. And that's when we started to talk to Magnolia. A second thing we did, once we started working with the product, and because of our relationship with AWS, we started talking to Jan and his colleagues about AWS integration or Magnolia integration within AWS. And one of our key factors was how quickly can we update, how quickly can we deploy new software, because our daily work is very, very much dependent on that. That's where I'm going to hand over to Jan, who's going to speak about a bit more of what we've done. And thank you very much for now.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much. So my part is coming. Yeah. Good. So while Daniel talked about the problems that they face as a client or as a provider of the solutions for digital marketing agencies, and the tools which they use up till now, or which they are still using, and which are like the part of the ultimate solution that the eTexture chosen, I would actually like to focus a little bit on the partnership and on what that partnership between eTexture and us brings to all of you. So as you probably know, Magnolia is the CMS, or Content Experience Management System, if I can never use Tim's name, which brings you the system that is hopefully pleasing to eye, which is easy to use, which serves content to all different channels, all the different media which you have, and is also accessible from many different medias. And as Daniel briefly mentioned, we also have all the enterprise features, because that's where we serve mainly. Our majority of our clients, or all of our clients, are actually the enterprises, which need things like workflow, they need fine-grained security, they need guaranteed content delivery, all those things which we provide. And when actually we started to talk about partnership with eTexture, when they proposed that they could use Magnolia to build the microsites, our first initial thinking was like, microsites, really? Magnolia is too big. Isn't it overkill for building the microsite? But very quickly we actually realized that it's not true. Magnolia has number of extension points. It has many places which allow you to customize it, to turn it into very flexible solution, even though with the traditional enterprise clients you're used to having release cycles like maybe a month or 2-3 months. So you don't need to rush anything, while the digital marketing solutions there, it's all about the speed. You have only one chance, you have only one shot to get your solution to the market, and you need to do it very fast, and you need to have it right the very first time. So while we had all the extension points, we had all the enterprise features, Itecture was bringing in their unique experience from delivering the solutions, delivering them quickly, making sure they auto-scale, and they had also great experience using the Amazon infrastructure to do all those things. So in the end, we did partner together, and we are actually very happy that we are able to make Magnolia more flexible, make it more agile, to show you the solution which takes on the experience of both companies, one in being open for integration, other in delivering, scaling, and basically being able to fulfill every whim of marketing. No offense to marketing people. And rather than talking about it in more superlatives, because I'm clearly running out of the words there, I will actually show you one of the scenarios, which would be the upgrade of the instance and how that works. I will show it in few slides, and then we will actually watch it how it happens live. So you probably all saw this kind of diagram. That's like the standard deployment scheme. And there you have one authoring environment, which usually consists of one author instance. You have some publishing environment, which has 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 10 public instances. And basically what we will be doing here is that we will take one environment, the authoring one, we will upgrade it to the new solution. Then we will clone, using the Elastic Beanstalks and the Amazon infrastructure, we will clone the whole publishing environment. Remember, it's 2 instances in this example. It's not just one server, it's really the whole environment we are cloning. We will upgrade that environment, and then we will put it back and switch it on the load balancer and decommission the old environment. So without actually talking about it more, I will show you. So what you see here on one side, there is the build environment, which has the special plugin that we built that connects to the Amazon infrastructure. On the right side, you see the Beanstalk environment, which has two environments, authoring and public. Now when the upgrade is starting, the system will actually connect to the authoring environment. It will deliver a message to all the users, tell them that, hey, server is going down in 1 minute because it will be upgraded. Later on, it will even lock the system, so no editing can happen anymore. The upgrade will deliver the new WAR file, new version of the application to the authors. It will upgrade that. Okay, I'm talking faster than the video is running. Sorry about that. Yes, so you see the deployment is happening right now. Voila. And so the system is already restarted. It's getting up. We are just waiting for the environment to get healthy, which in terms here means until the update is finished, until the instance is again fully operational. Once we have the successful upgrade, what we will do, we will clone the publishing environment. So instead of 2 boxes, we will have there 3 of them as soon as the system is live. What we will do then is we will start upgrading this cloned new public environment while the old one is still serving all the requests to the public. So yes, it's getting here. Yes, now we have the clone. We have shut it down, that clone. We are upgrading the clone. And once the clone is up and it's running, we will just on the load balancer switch the environment. So from one moment to another, all the clients will be going from the old environment to new one. And the old environment will be decommissioned. You can do it either immediately or wait maybe for a day or 2 to make sure that the upgrade was okay and everything is fine. So you can have even like complete clone of your environment for the backup should you need so. And that's just one example. What we can do is the same kind of things by adding, having load balancer acting automatically on the growing load, like in case of the Slashdot or Top Gear effect, if you want to call it that way. You can keep adding the public instances. You can sync, the solution which we have here is actually the instances are talking between each other. If you know Magnolia architecture, what happens is the new instance would register itself as the subscriber on the authoring environment. It will call the synchronization underneath. And that was actually even happening here when we had all those environments, when we had the new public and old public environment. As long as those 2 environments were live, the author instance had actually 4 subscribers. It knew about all those public instances, so the users, they could just continue publishing. There was no interruption for them. Because even for that brief period of the update, we still ran the synchronization afterward and made sure that all content is delivered as it should. So with that, I will stop talking now, and I just say thank you very much, everybody. And if you have any questions, any comments, just bring them on.